before I started any of this almost 3 years ago now, I wrote out who I was, what I am, what I stand for, what are my goals. And every now and then I go back and check that to make sure that I'm still in line with who I said I am, my goals were, and see have I diverted off the course too much. Because sometimes while you're in the heat of doing things, you don't notice that you're going in a different direction. And so part of my process, my regular self-checkups, like a self-checkup, right? You check yourself, is to pause and reflect on what I'm doing, my type of coverage. What is it that I'm saying? Where am I in this? And so today's spot check was the amount of attention that I give Donald Trump. Am I giving Donald Trump too much attention? Am I covering him too much? Am I becoming the the anti-Trumper? And then I started considering what all the things are important to me and all the things that are important to you, the audience, and important to the issues that are of progressivism. And I start going one by one. And I think about, you know, if LGBTQ rights are important to you, then you see how Donald Trump is directly adversely affecting that, particularly with Jeff Sessions. So I'm like, OK, well, then LGBTQ rights are important to me because I try to be the best ally that I can be for many reasons that you could read in my book, not plugging the book, but I actually kind of pour into that why it is I'm a straight man, but I'm very, very serious about LGBTQ rights. That's number one. If that's important to you, if you're at all interested in police brutality, you know, we have a president who literally, as the president, hey, Unspoken, thanks for joining me. And you guys fill up the chat room. I want to see your thoughts to anything I'm saying. I look at President Trump and how he has encouraged police officers. As president, he has encouraged police officers to rough up people even more. Right. So if police brutality is important to you, how can you not talk about Donald Trump? If Black Lives Matter is important to you, how can you not talk about Trump? But I'm sitting there reflecting today, wondering, am I going off the course of my initial trajectory when I started this, covering Donald Trump too much? And then the thing is, folks, he is, hey, Terry J123. The thing is this is the president of the United States. And so by definition, in the realm of issues that are important to me and quite frankly to you, because you're here on a regular basis, it's almost impossible not to cover Donald Trump to this extent. You know, because if you're serious about any type of programs, any type of safety nets, Medicare for all, any type of policies that could help us lift up the working class and the average American, the lower middle class, if you're interested in any of those, then Donald Trump's tax policy is directly going to affect us in a very significant way. If you need health care, then it's like we have had 4 major health care fights. 4 major health care fights in 9 months. You know, think about that. And then today I was covering blue slips. I was covering blue slips in the Senate, which is a Senate tradition that allows senators from a particular home state to give commentary on a federal nominee, lower court nominee in their state, a district that is in their state. And blue slips is like a 100-year-old tradition. And, you know, it has been used before. It's not an official rule, but it's been used before by senators, both Republican and Democrat, to either approve of a presidential nominee or to disapprove of one. And the chair of the Judiciary Committee has traditionally recognized whatever the state senator said from that state, for whatever the U.S. Senate said from that state. So it has been used historically as a means of blocking. Withholding a blue slip means that you are blocking a nominee. And as I was covering that and speaking, doing interviews about that today, I paused and thought about the filibuster situation with Neil Gorsuch and the fact that they did away with the filibuster. And then in my mind, I just trying to demonstrate something to you. In my mind, I'm like, man, Neil Gorsuch was nominated like a long time ago. Like 2 years, a year, 2 years, no, 1 year, nope. Not even a year has gone by since the nomination of Neil Gorsuch and the confirmation of Neil Gorsuch. And you think about just the sheer intensity of all the craziness that has gone on over the last 9 months, 10 months now, rather. And I pause and say, how can I not cover Donald Trump? How can we not? You have to literally go through some mental gymnastics to not cover Donald Trump, and to honestly, quite frankly, not cover him from a negative perspective. I think I may have found one thing that he's done in the last 10 months that has been positive, and I can't even think of it off the top of my head. I just remember at least one time that I said something positive about the man. Right. And so you look at, you know what else is important to me? Foreign relations. Foreign policy. You guys know I'm serious about international order and conflicts and war and peace on the international stage. And how can you not cover Donald Trump when he is instigating a fight with North Korea? How could you not cover Donald Trump? And how could you not speak about the things that he's doing? So I did the self-reflection today, and I take it very seriously. And I'm thinking, and again, it's not a crisis of conscience by any means. It's not a crisis of conscience by any means. It is my regular self-checkup. And I pause to see, am I doing what I set out to do when I originally started this? And I realized that I would say probably 75% of my coverage has to be about Donald Trump nowadays. And I'm wondering, am I covering Donald Trump too much? And I'm doing that because I simply care about my art form. I care about my professionalism. And the bottom line is, how can you not cover him? So then it moved from a self-reflection to a critique of people who don't say anything about him. I mean, name something that's important to you. Exactly. Leslie saying in the chat room, if he attacks North Korea, he will blame it on Obama and Clinton. People are already positioning this to blame Obama and Clinton. But think about, and I want you to write something in the chat room. What's important to you? And I'm not yet going to critique my friends in the progressive media community, but I want to know what's important to you. And I guarantee you, what's important to you is affected directly by Donald Trump, and not just directly, adversely affected by Donald Trump. Somebody said LGBTQ rights. Absolutely. Reparations. Good luck on that with Donald Trump, right? Good luck on that with most any president. But specifically, we're so far from the conversation. Foreign policy, line of secession, Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court is important to you, that, it's insane what Donald Trump represents and what he wants to put there. Keeping Social Security, Medicare, people are saying in the chat room, Social Security again, and Medicare, climate change. Literally I can read this sentence straight out from the chat room. Literally every important value policy is under attack by this administration. I could not have said it better. I will applaud. Medicare for all. Now, here's the only thing that I thought of today, Aaron. The only thing I thought of today is that because of how crazy Donald Trump is, and because of how ridiculous Republicans are, they have opened up the conversation on Medicare for all, because they continue to point out the problems of Obamacare, but their solution is not correct to the problems of Obamacare. So that has given us an opportunity to show them the solutions to the problem of Obamacare is Medicare for all. So that is the indirect benefit of them being as crazy as they have been. You know what I mean? So in that way, that's the only thing that we have been able, the only ball that we've been able to move forward, because of how insane. We would not have been able to move that ball forward if Hillary Clinton had become president. But for everyone who sits back and says, oh, Hillary Clinton would have been worse, I mean, I don't want to hear that anymore, because I think Donald Trump has made it his life mission to make sure that anyone who ever said that eats their words. I think Donald Trump is like, I heard you when you said that, and I'm going to show you just how much more horrible than Hillary Clinton I can be. Public transit and infrastructure. And now, if you look at the budget, what they're offering in the budget, they are seriously gutting everything in order to give tax breaks. What's important to me is tax policy, because like Nancy Pelosi said, and she said it, and one thing I tell you about Nancy Pelosi is that when she says something, she knows how the hell to say it. Like, she says this shit. And she said last week, show me your values, show me your taxes. Let me slow down. Show me your tax policy. Show me your values. Show me what you have in your budget. Show me your values. And that's why tax policy is important to me, because so many across the board. I would add to the other members of the party they are working towards. Right. Okay. Unspoken. Great point, and I'll bring that out in a second. Let me finish this thought. The reason tax policy is so important to me is because it does represent actually what we're going to do. Who's going to get hurt? Who's going to get cut? Who's going to pay the bill? Will the bill be paid at all? Those things are very significant to me because I know that we can't do any of these programs that we want to do. We can't have Medicare for all with the budget that Donald Trump is proposing and Paul Ryan is proposing. Now, here's the deal. Here's the difference between Donald Trump as an individual and his party. Here's the big difference. Donald Trump has brought chaos. Literal, it is insanity. You have the Secretary of State calling the president a moron. And we find out today the reason he called him a moron is because he wants to increase our nuclear arsenal from 4,000 nukes to 40,000 nukes, a tenfold increase. You know, that, my friends, is chaos. We have literal chaos with the president of the White House in the White House. But in a sense, that chaos is keeping the Republican Party from being able to move forward. And I don't think it is. A lot of people say Donald Trump is chaotic as a means of a strategy. But no, it's completely backfiring him in many respects. It's backfiring on him in a spectacular way. And all we're left with, though, is a fatigued and exasperated American body politic. Now, the Republican Party, for the most part, they want every single one of these things that we named. They want to get rid of LGBTQ rights. They want to get rid of marriage equality. They want to get all these things. And so this is why when I started this thing off, I started this whole show off to oppose conservatism, specifically conservatism. I evolved quickly into learning how much neoliberalism actually does not move the ball forward on any of the goals that I'm interested in. And this is what I said in the primaries. I said Donald Trump, scratch that. Bernie Sanders represented change. Hillary Clinton represented the status quo. And Donald Trump represented chaos. I think I said it exactly like that during the primaries. And so you realize that that on the things that are important to us, we can't get any progress, very to little, no progress with neoliberals. But now we see with Donald Trump, as many of you knew, and you said it, and I said it, we all said it. I don't care what anybody say. We knew Donald Trump was going to be a chaos agent, an agent of chaos. But we knew Donald Trump was going to take us back in the opposite direction, not just because he's Donald Trump, but because he's the leader of the Republican Party. The Republican Party wants the majority of what Donald Trump is selling. And this is what's hysterical about it. Donald Trump probably doesn't believe in most of the stuff he pushes. But he's the leader of the party, and whatever somebody brings to him, I told you guys, and I know you knew it, but I'm just saying, I'm preaching to the choir. I told you guys during the primaries that Donald Trump, and during the general election, that Donald Trump is a moron who's going to take whatever Paul Ryan brings to him. And he is literally doing that. He's going to take, he wanted Paul Ryan's plan, and then he wanted this person's plan, and now he's going to take Lindsey Graham's plan. Now they're coming back full circle to Paul Ryan's. You know, he's going to take anything and everything. And so he's going to be nothing but a figurehead who implements everything that the Republican Party wants. And so in my self-reflection today, I'm like, am I covering Donald Trump too much? No, because I have to cover what conservatism is trying to do to America. And he is the leader of the conservative party. He's the leader of the Republican Party. And so we have no choice but to cover Donald Trump. We have no choice but to cover Paul Ryan. We have no choice but to cover Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. We have no choice. We have no choice but to cover these things. And so now I shift that into the critique of some of my friends who I love dearly, and I'm not talking about the dumb left. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about those people who feel like anyone who's anti-Trump is a part of a CIA deep state conspiracy to undo democracy, because that's literally where a part of the left, that's where a part of the left has gone. I'm not talking about them. They are not my friends. They are our adversaries, to be quite frank with you. But you know, in terms of some of my friends who I see not covering Trump at all, and I wonder, like, how, and not covering the GOP at all, not covering some of these major bills, you know, not even speaking about health care. Like, a lot of people almost lost their health care. A lot of people almost lost their health care, and the only reason they still have it is probably because of how much chaos there is, right? But then I have progressives who don't speak of those things, and they're still focused on you know, the primaries, not putting their money where that comment went too fast. I wonder if I touch this, will they stay longer? Nope. The comments don't stay longer. Unfortunately, I have to read the comments. So the shorter your comments, the better today, folks, because once they go away, I can't read them all. Maybe I can open it up on another window over here and have your comments up as well. But to finish that thought, you know, a lot of people who don't cover these things, and I'm wondering, I'm going to take this now. How many of these can I take so I can go to sleep and get rid of this headache that I've had all day long? But a lot of progressives who don't even cover these important things, because they're focused on neoliberalism. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't talk about neoliberalism. I think the most important thing that group says that I'm describing, I won't name because they are actually my friends and I haven't talked to them one-on-one, but when I talk to you guys, you know how I do it. I talk to people one-on-one first, and then I'll say it publicly. I'll call their name out publicly. But you know, the one thing that they say in that group that I agree with still is that once we get rid of this maniac, Donald Trump, we cannot allow the status quo to remain the status quo, right? We can't allow us to just be comfortable with a corporate Democrat as if everything is better just because we got a corporate Democrat back into office. Because realistically, in 2020, we're talking about a corporate Democrat. We don't have a successor to Bernie Sanders' revolution. All we have are corporate Democrats that we've been able to push to the left a little bit, right? So, you know, but the thing is, once they get back into power, everything doesn't get better just because they're in power. Like when they get back in power, we have to maintain all of that energy and fight them like never before. You know, we have to fight them and push back. I wonder, does this actually, I didn't set it up for phone calls, but I might be able to take this phone call in a second. So stay there, 609. And so, you know, that's the one thing I agree with the most, is that they say is that once, you know, we cannot be so comfortable with corporate Democrats that everything is better. Kind of like Republicans right now. They really believe everything is better just because Donald Trump is in office. And I'm like, you guys are absolutely out of your goddamn minds. This is fucking chaos. But they feel just because they have a Republican in power, everything is back to normal. Everything is good. And that's so far from the truth. We have to make sure that when corporate Democrats get into office, yes, a lot of things will be better. Hell, everything will be better because we won't have the goddamn chaos agent in there, and we won't have Republicans shoving down all these policies that are detrimental to us. It will be better, but we can't stop there. We have to push further once they get back into power. And I think that's one thing that some of my friends who don't really cover Donald Trump, what they say that is absolutely true. Okay, that being said, at the same time, God damn it, where do we not need all hands on deck right now? I mean, policy by policy, not really a anti-Trump as if somebody else is going to be better. Here's what would be better if we actually got rid of Trump. If Trump was impeached, forget about Russia, forget about the collusion, forget about all that stuff, man. You know, you let that be what it's going to be. I don't really care. Whatever that's going to be, it's going to be. But, you know, if Donald Trump gets, indicted for tax evasion or whatever reason we could get rid of Trump, the reality of it is that the agenda that we're having to push against right now, every single day, will still be there in the form of Vice President Mike Pence, now President Mike Pence. We're very clear on that. But can we be clear on something else, though? We have had nothing but nonstop battle, chaos. You know, nuclear threat here, nuclear threat there, attacking Syria, with Tomahawk missiles in March, threatening to rain down nuclear fire like the world has never seen in May, wanting to escalate or increase our nuclear arsenal by tenfold in August. I'm like, holy Jesus, can we get a day? Can we get a day without complete and utter chaos shaking up in the most negative ways our system? That's the only benefit of getting rid of Donald Trump. That's the only benefit, because every policy by policy, it's going to be the same agenda, because Donald Trump is getting his agenda right from the Republican Party. So getting rid of Donald Trump is not a means of us getting a better path to better policy over the next 4 years. No, man, we're stuck in this fight. We are stuck in this fight against conservatism like never before. We are in the fight of our progressive lives right now for the next 3 years and 3 months. That's where we are, right? We're in that fight. And that doesn't end with Vice President Pence taking over after Donald Trump is impeached.